Hello and welcome back to Retropical podcast. This is Shannon and this is Leonard. And today, how are you doing, Leonard? From a scale to 1 to 10.
I'm doing a little not so great, but it's like mostly due to like family drama. So
Okay,
yeah,
but if you were to quantify it, what would it be?
quantify it maybe five or six.
Oh, okay. Hope
Yeah,
things get better.
yeah.
I'm also doing a 5 to 6 because I don't know. It's the holiday, right? Around time. It's like Hari Raya soon, coming soon. Where
Yes.
it's an Islamic holiday, but we don't really celebrate it, but it's quite a national holiday here.
Hmm.
But work stuff, actually no work stuff that's coming out, but it's fine. Anyways, today is this how do we make it? Like today's topic is quite uh merged in a sense because everyone has both of us have kind of almost the same topic to come and bring to the table, except we have a different aspects or different outlets that we'll be talking about. Basically, we are talking about 2D to 3D evolutions of Disney, particularly Disney movies on my part, and the other would be based on games, right, on your part.
Yeah. So just like a comparison between weird 2D games and very weird 3D games. If there's
Right,
any, yeah.
right. Okay, so we'll first start with me first, I guess, is about Disney. So I mentioned to you since I researched it like literally like last night, one whole night, like just 2 hours of researching. I
Yeah.
was what I found out was like scary to me because it was such a discovery that I was like scared not only for my life but just for the power that Disney kind of has in a long run sense.
Yeah, I mean Disney. Like, if you didn't like, a lot of people probably don't know this, but everyone that's like a little bit more, I would say, media savvy,
Yeah,
like movie savvy, or just like
yeah.
television savvy in general, will probably know that Disney pretty much owns everything.
Yes, that is not an understatement. That is literally a very true statement.
I
Um,
think, if I'm not mistaken, something along the lines of like 80% of the blockbuster movies that are
yes,
both successful
yes.
in like theaters are owned by Disney or something like that.
So yeah, so basically, if I were to like summarize the whole ownership of Disney, I think in terms of the entertainment industry, Disney plays a huge role in it. We can even argue that the entertainment industry is Disney. That is actually like something that scares me. And I'll talk about that briefly later on.
Okay.
But before we start to my topic of 2D and 3D animation or movies in terms of Disney, we want to start with what is your favorite Disney movie,
Like,
Leonard?
of all time in general.
Yeah, I would say what is your most like if someone were to say standard, what is
Hmm.
your favorite Disney movie? What is that one Disney movie you can think of outside the box? I mean, like in a second heartbeat.
If I had to say any of the, like, I'm probably gonna mention, like, I don't really have a favorite Disney movie, but I
Nope.
do have one
Okay.
that I particularly found to be like underrated, like very very underrated.
Is
And
it the
that's
good dinosaur?
oh, I'm sorry. No, 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 not
Is,
that.
is
Please.
it
Oh my
is
god,
it
that
the good?
was. Oh my god.
Yeah, because I'll talk about that later too.
It
But
was.
yeah.
My movie is probably Brother Bear.
Oh
I'm not sure if
yes,
anyone still remember that. Brother Bear was like probably one of the
God,
coolest
yes.
Disney movie I've watched, like, at of all time. I think that movie is like super criminally underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean I can totally I don't know why, but I can totally see you saying you like Brother Bear. Like that's something that's a given. I feel I don't know why, but it's just like when I see your face, I see Brother Bear. Is
I
it
love
because
Brother
you
Bear.
remind me of a bear or you have
Oh
brothers?
my god,
But
I
but
love Brother
yeah,
Bear.
okay, interesting. Your favorite would be Brother Bear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that actually brings my first kind of laying down on the table card to our discussion, which is um I want to say that in terms of Disney movies,
Mm-hmm.
let me kind of like just for you to take note, okay? So there are kind of a difference, right? Like there's a bit of a difference between Disney movies and Disney Pixar movies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There.
So basically, what you're saying, for example, like we take example for Brother Bear, that's basically a Disney original movie. Like this, we consider that as a Disney classic. Some
Yeah.
would say because that's
Mm-hmm.
truly made from Disney. But to me, the lines were quite of blurry until last night when I discovered everything.
Oh.
But I never I actually like to me like when I said to people like actually one of my favorite movies that I can remember is for example Finding Nemo or Monster Inc. I never realized that that wasn't actually the original classic Disney that I thought it was. I always assumed that somehow Pixar is part of Disney, which it is technically, but there is some kind of like a administrative bureaucratic differences to it,
Different
which I want to
voices.
explain
Okay.
later.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but take in mind now, like along the course of my discussion, there are four players involved in my discussion.
So there's
So
Disney. There's Pixar.
yeah,
Then.
so there is Disney, there's Walt Disney.
Oh,
We
are those two
call
dis? Are those two different?
Yes. So basically, we look at Walt Disney as a huge company, right?
Uh huh.
This is we call it the father company.
Okay.
Walt Disney Company is the father company, the holding company.
Mm.
Then we have Pixar, who, as of 2006, is under Disney, as in it's a subsidiary to Disney, but
Mm-hmm.
originally it was actually an independent company. And
Originally. Okay.
then, yeah, originally, like around the 90s or 80s, they were actually independent until they were acquired by Disney in 2006.
Okay.
This was because of Toy Story, and I shit you not, thanks to Toy Story, everything got got into the place where it is now. I swear. But yeah, and to me, I don't even like Toy Story as much as the other movies that I've watched before. But maybe Toy Story does play a huge part in
We're
this
talking about
whole
the first one,
scenario.
right? We're talking about the first one.
Yes, the
Yeah, yeah,
1995
yeah.
Toy Story one.
I mean,
So
I
apparently,
think it's a pretty good movie, but meh overall.
it's a pretty good movie, but
Yeah.
apparently it was more of a breakthrough in terms of how Disney saw its animation future, you know? That
Ah,
that was
okay.
the turning point for Disney to be like, oh, there's actually 3D compared to 2D. Oh yeah, just for a starter for people who don't understand what 2D or 3D is. Basically to me, my definition of 2D or 3D is that 2D is basically something that's flat. So what when you draw something or when you see something, it's usually seen in height and length, right? If I'm not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But for 3D, there's a depth to it, like a depth. So it's like a width. So you look at it into like a what is it compared to a box? That's 3D box, and then you see a square. That's 2D, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, okay. So basically, now we see there's Walt Disney, there's Pixar, right?
Yeah.
There is also there is also Disney Animation Studio.
Disney Animation Studio. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the company, this is the animation company that Disney owns and is under Disney. So basically, Disney technically has two animation studios in terms of its movies products. They have the ones produced from Pixar. They have the one produced from Walt. They have the one produced from Disney Animation Studio.
Okay. Okay.
And I was in my mind, I was like, what's the difference? And why do they have these two different aspects? It's like a long ass story of like the whole Natsume and what
Marvelous.
yeah it's the whole shenanigans debacles of that again but
Right.
basically Walt Disney now in terms of its animation studios in terms of its movies like blockbuster hits there's the one from Pixar and there's also the one from Disney Animation Studio
Okay.
and then we have also Disney Television what is it called? Wait, let me check my notes. We also have what it's called as Disney Television Animation.
Disney Television Animation. So this is
Yes,
another separate branch specifically for TV.
yes. So like what you see in Disney Channel, all the animations from Disney Channel, that's where they are produced from Disney Television Animation. There was also actually another studio called Disney Toon Studios, but it died in like early. Actually, it just recently died. I
Okay.
think 2018 it died. This was because of the downfall of 2D animated movies. It
Oh, so
it
as
it.
in they've
Mhm.
stopped, and the tunes were like mostly responsible for uh
So. Mm.
the 2D thing. Okay.
So what I researched was that actually Disney Toon Studios actually comes out with movies as well, 2D movies, just like Disney Animation Studios. You know, the
Hmm.
one that's strictly owned by Disney. But the difference was that the one for Disney Animation Studio was um it was the one that got to the theaters mostly, like blockbusters hit like Mulan, uh, what is it, Brother Bear, I think, and then Tarzan as well. But then Disney's Toon Studios are the ones for what is it called? Direct to video? Is it direct to video or direct to
Oh,
TV
yeah, yeah,
movies?
yeah, yep, yep.
So basically, like Mulan 2, Brother Bears 2, Tarzan 2, those were the ones produced by Disney Toon Studios.
Okay.
Which is weird. I don't get why they branch off so many of their product system, but this is how Walt Disney works apparently.
Is that why like those? So wait. So Disney Toon is particularly responsible for which movies again? Brother Bear 2, and then what else?
Mulan 2,
Mulan
Tarzan
2.
2, Lion King 2, if I'm not wrong as well.
So basically, all the more inconspicuous movies that didn't really have
Yeah,
marketing. So-
it's more of the they usually tend to do the sequels that usually goes to the DVDs. It's not the one that
Okay.
goes
Because
to like
I know Mulan 2, and I've known of Lion King 2, but I didn't know that Brother Bear had a second. I actually
Brother Bear
didn't.
had a second movie actually. That was the one with the
Did they?
girl, right?
I
The
don't
one with the
know.
girl, I think.
I don't know that. I don't even remember
Well,
because all I thought was like, okay, first Brother Bear movie, and then that's it. It's over. It's done.
right. But my
And
assumption
you're
is that
telling
Brother.
me, and
Mhm.
you're telling me that there's a sequel that I didn't know
Yes, there is a sequel, and I think it is made by Disney Toon Studios, who is
about. Okay.
already dead as of 2018. That studio is no longer there. So basically, now what we have is Walt Disney as the pimp, yeah. And then we have Pixar, and then we have Disney Animation Studios, and then we have Disney Television Animation Studios.
Okay.
Okay, but we put aside Disney Television Animation Studios for a while because that will be later on when I want to discuss it. Now we just
Mm.
want to talk about Pixar and the Disney Animation Studios itself because this is the one where it's like we don't like I didn't know some of these movies that we've watched before are like considerably not Pixar and some of them are actually Disney and some of them are actually Pixar and Disney. That was confusing to me. This whole like
Wait. Wait. So there's movies that's like completely by Pixar.
yes.
Okay. So there's one that's completely by Pixar, and then there's one that's completely by Disney, and then there's one that's like
Right.
a collaboration of the two. Okay.
Right,
That
but
was
the
very
one
confusing. Okay.
But here's
Yeah.
the thing: the one that's made by Pixar, I find that they don't actually call it a Pixar movie. They call it a Disney Pixar movie because Disney is the distributor, Pixar is the producer, but they have an agreement to make it called Disney Pixar. So in retrospect, there is no such thing as a Pixar movie in terms of like legality, yeah, in terms of the names.
Oh, so there's no such thing as a kind of like DreamWorks. So DreamWorks is DreamWorks, and
Yes,
there's no such thing as like a just Pixar movie.
yes.
Okay.
There's no such thing as just a Pixar movie. It's always gonna be Disney Pixar. So whenever you think of Disney Pixar, it's basically Pixar's movie, but Disney,
Is the one that
uh,
distributes it.
yes, and Disney wants its name to be there too. That's why, and Disney owns the shares and owns Pixar now. But basically, the creative rights, the whole ownership, it's still Pixar.
Okay.
So legally, there's actually Disney Pixar and there's original Disney.
Yeah.
Now, okay, now we go back to the idea of the whole 2D and 3D concepts of the animation movies from Disney.
Mm-hmm.
My hypothesis or like my findings is that there's a timeline to Disney. This is the part that I was talking to you about the golden age of
Yeah, the
Disney.
golden age, the renaissance of Disney. Yeah.
Right. So we focus back on Disney. Like basically the original concept of Disney movies were supposed to be 2D because that was what Walt Disney himself created, with Fantasia, with Snow White,
Okay.
you
So
know?
you're talking about the initial movies, the very first.
Right.
Okay.
So this was what made Disney famous for their 2D animations. Completely just 2D. And if you notice, it's not really. Some of them are not even originals. I think most of them are not originals. It's based on fables, based on legends
Oh
and
yeah,
myths,
you mean
right?
like yeah, so like the like Oregon, Snow White, Cinderella.
Right.
Yep.
Aladdin, Pinocchio, Dumbo, for example.
Yep. Wait, Dumbo is
So
not an
we,
original
I
story.
don't know actually. I don't know. I
I
would think it's not. Isn't it a Hans Christian, the guy? I forgot his name, but I would assume that it's not because I remember that they said that Disney does not even have. the
Oh, okay.
original movie itself. So basically, Disney had a golden age era where animation was a fruitful thing, and everybody was like interested in the whole 2D concept of being able to put your drawing come to life in terms of its 2D
Mhm.
visualization, right? But around the 90s,
Yeah.
they decided to branch off to the concept of 3D ever since Pixar, an independent company at the time, decided to no, not decided, they won this award for creating this 3D kind of concept movie called The Tin Toy. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I don't think so. Let me look that up. Tin toy.
Quite old. Yeah, in the 80s, Tin Toy by Pixar. That was the one I would say arguably the only original Pixar movie, I guess. Like in
Okay.
terms of in terms of its ownership, yeah, or the name of
Uh,
the legality of it.
so I'm
So
guessing this
basically,
is like the precursor to Toy Story, if I had to guess, based on the look of
I
it.
would think so, yes. So basically, they won an award for this movie, and then Disney saw it and was intrigued by it, so they decided to work with Pixar.
Mm.
So this was when Pixar and Disney was still like they were still under contractual relationship. They were not actually owning, like Disney was not owning Pixar yet. This was still a company to company kind of transaction. And
Okay.
then in the 1995, Toy Story came out, and that was the moment where, like, apparently, even though in my opinion, I feel like Toy Story wasn't really the movie that stood out for me. That was the breakthrough for animation itself. Not only because of the difference in the dimension of
Mm.
what Disney has uploaded so far, um, but also because it's the whole concept of the technology era as well.
Oh, okay.
This was when like phones started to become more portable and it was more accessible, and the owner of Pixar was actually Steve Jobs, and I was like, oh my god, this man is everywhere. This freaking man is everywhere. And that's what scares me, because technically he owned Disney. Like
He, oh,
technically.
at some point, is that it?
Right,
Yeah.
right. At some point, he was like kind of an influencer at Disney too. So it was scary to me to think that he was famous in the industry sector, but also in the tech center, which was like, if you mix those two together, it's like a whole new hybrid baby, right? Yeah. So basically, that's what happened. They formed a pact. It was Toy Story, and then some legal shit happened because Disney wanted to take over the whole Pixar rights, and then Pixar was you can't like you can't take our rights. That was our creation.
Yeah, yeah, that was like our thing, right?
Yeah, that was like a huge stalemate. There was a huge stalemate because like Disney technically still owned the rights, and they were like, okay, if you're not gonna renew the contract with us, we're gonna use your Toy Story characters for our own and create like the one you said, like Harvest Moon kind of
Mm-hmm.
made its own kind of game under the name Harvest Moon.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Disney threatened Pixar. Like we were gonna make Toy Story our own in our own way for the Toy Story 2, and then
Oh,
Pixar was like,
and I'm guessing Pixar caved in, saying like,
no. Pixar was offended. Pixar was like, no, bitch, no.
okay.
Uh, yeah, they had a standoff. Nobody agreed with anything until later on. Um, what was it? There was one CEO of Disney, Bob Iger. He realized how much Disney needed their 3D capabilities to improve, because around this time, like around the 90s, movies or like shows were starting to realize, other kinds of producers, other kinds of distributors in the industry sector decided to realize like there's more to it than just 2D. We need to start making 3D shit because it's more to like reality based kind of lifestyle art concept.
Okay.
And then and then like I think, if I'm not wrong, the standoff was like it existed near 2000, and that's where all the good Disney movies that were like a huge success, huge cinematic success, were all Pixar movies.
Oh.
So yeah, so to name a few, like ever since Toy Story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Finding Nemo came out, Monster Inc. came out, Cars came out,
Cars came out.
Incredible,
Yeah.
Bugs
Incredible.
Life,
Yeah.
all of these were owned by Pixar. I'm getting goosebumps right now because like I just realized this was all owned by Pixar, which was like freaky to me because I always thought that was Disney, you know. But
Okay.
technically it was Pixar. It was Pixar who made it. It was Disney who distributed it. It was me who watched it blindlessly.
Yeah, but all those movies are still in the Disney Pixar, uh, what do you call it?
Contract.
Contract. Yeah, right.
Right, yes, yes. But there was a point where their contract was about to end, and then Disney wanted to renew it, but with the understanding that they were going to own everything that Pixar had. Like the creative rights, the creative ownership will be Disney's. And
Will be
Pixar
Disney.
didn't
Now
want. Yeah, and
that's
Pixar was
so
like, hmm?
no, like no, you can't do that. But then, but that's the point that I was trying to ask. But like, so if that was the case, then why did Pixar ended up still getting into Disney? And it's simply just because of like the IP.
You mean like why did Pixar I mean before the merge, why did Pixar still want to get Disney?
No, why did Pixar? So you said Pixar just wanted to do their own thing, right?
Right, right.
Right. So
Oh,
yeah,
what
that's
was
why.
their incentive of
Yeah,
working
what was
together
their
with Disney?
incentive to like the fact that like so you mentioned that Disney threatened basically saying, oh hey, if you
Yes,
leave, I'm going to use whatever IP that you have. I'm gonna
yes,
make our own thing.
yes.
And Pixar was saying no. Is that the only reason why Pixar wanted to stay continue to stay with Disney?
No, no. The only I think the main reason why Pixar was like fine, like during 1995 until the acquisition, they were like, okay, we'll have this contractual idea, is because Pixar needed money. They were small as a company, right? So they didn't have the funds to actually get like their creation supported or backed financially or even like distributed like well scaled so enough that they can get like enough revenue, you know?
Okay.
So to them it was like, oh shit, like we need Disney. Oh, actually, sorry, I think I guess I was wrong. I think in terms of like Cars or Finding Nemo or Monster Inc. I think that was still solely that was already merged there.
Oh, so they were already one entity at that point after those two points.
I think so. So
Okay.
basically, Finding Nemo was actually already a whole like when Pixar was under was. Oh, actually, no. Fuck that. No, Finding Nemo was still the whole contractual shit.
Okay.
Cars,
So
Cars was the
Cars,
beginning.
Cars was the very first big one.
I think so. That was the one that was like because that was 2006. So that was the one where Disney finally acquired Pixar, and then now Pixar is under Disney, but the rights are still Pixar because they made a negotiation.
Mm.
That CEO guy decided like looked and saw that in Disney World, the ones who were famous or the ones that people were like into were actually the characters from the franchise that Pixar made, not the one that Disney made.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's why he knew that this was a big deal. Like it wasn't that Pixar needed Disney, it was Disney that needed
Disney and
Pixar
Pixar.
in terms of
Okay.
the
Oh,
loss.
that's a pretty cool twist, honestly.
Yeah, because when you think about it, like Disney having its own stand, only its standing in 2D animation, the fact that Pixar's 3D concept kind of introduced them to a whole new possibilities of making movies. They took it, they were like, oh shit, we need to improve ourselves, but how can we do it? Because to be fair, the first original Disney 3D movie that was made was Chicken Little. So
Right,
so
Chicken Little.
that was
Uh,
made by Disney, like fully by Disney Animation Studio.
so
So
that
there
one
was
had
no
nothing to
Pixar
do with
involved.
Pixar. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and even though it was a hit, they saw that there were still some shortfalls that could be helped when they learned more stuff from Pixar. Because at the time, Pixar's Toy Story was a huge success. Um, and like they knew that in terms of like, for example, Finding Nemo in 2003 was like a huge hit. I think even better than Chicken Little, right? Like you remember Finding Nemo more than Chicken Little.
Yeah. No, but then no, but I think I remember something along the lines. I think like when you mentioned the fact that like Chicken Little was completely made by Disney, I kind of
Yep.
understood because I heard stories about the fact that like they had to basically cut a lot of things out simply because I'm not sure whether it was the graphics or the animation. It basically wasn't up to par. Like up to par.
it
You
was
know,
rigid, right? Like
it
it
was
was just
very
not
rigid, or like some of
right.
the graphics look weird, and they basically just cut a lot of the things out of the original movie, if I remember correctly.
Even to this day, it looks a bit like of an abomination. Even though I love Chicken Little, but it did look like, I don't know, it looked really like clunky and weird
I
in
have to
terms
like
of
look
the
this up,
3D
Chicken
rendering.
Little, because I remember it was fine back in the day, but
Yeah, back in the day in 2005.
maybe it didn't age well. Eh,
I mean, as a start, Disney was good with Chicken Little, but of course they knew that they needed Pixar to improve further, on their capability. And at this point, Pixar was still an independent company. So in terms of like the process or the whole like internal kind of animation process, they can't have access to it because they're not in Pixar, and Pixar is not one of them.
okay.
So yeah, that I think in 2005 that was when like Disney decided to consider that, like, 2D is not making us go anywhere. 3D is the way to go now, if you
Hmm.
think about it, because if you see later in recent in years later near, um you see the coming of Shrek, you you
What?
see
I'm sorry.
Shark Tale, you
Oh,
see the coming of Shrek, you see Shark Tale, you see Kung Fu Panda. That was all 3D, right?
yeah,
And
that's
that was
correct.
something that Disney was getting behind.
But to be fair, like Shark Tale wasn't that good, like based on my memory, because like
Well, okay, I I have to argue yes, but that was the time where like where like 3D animation was starting to like be
okay.
produced
Uh-huh.
massively. Ever since Toy Story, that's why I'm saying like Toy Story was a make or break moment for me personally because I don't like 3D shit. But like basically Disney knew that just sticking to 3D won't make it. They need to advance their 3D capability, and that's why they wanted to keep working with Pixar. And eventually, after finding out that they needed Pixar more than Pixar needed them, they decided to take Pixar in with the condition that the creative ownership is still with Pixar.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
and Disney completely agree with this. They were
yes,
like
because
completely fine with that. Okay.
the previous CEO and Steve Jobs, the reason why they were in a stalemate for the past like 90s until 2005 and 6, that was because Steve Jobs, they wanted to take everything from Pixar, and Pixar was like, no, we don't want that. But then the new CEO, the one who saw the whole Disneyland shit happening, he knew that like he needed to make Pixar happy in a way that they're willing to be part of Disney, so Disney can still earn money, but Disney can also learn stuff from Pixar.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone because it's like kind of a win-win situation. So that that this is the reason why they kept the two studios, even though they're a bit different, they're still kept together under Disney because while Pixar can produce their own shit, Disney can also produce their own shit and somehow manage to confuse the whole public as to who's who.
That's the
No,
who's
but
also.
yeah, I think in a way you can kind of see which ones are usually Disney's and which ones are usually Pixar's. Um, but that was the whole idea of, to me, this whole debacle of Pixar and Disney. That was the standing point of how 2D movie animation from Disney died. So, if I'm not wrong, I think around 2018 or 2017 or 15, I forgot. But basically around the 2000s, late
Mhm.
2000s, Disney decided to. I don't think it was. I don't know if they made an official statement like how they're gonna cut off 2D animation movies, but they did mention how they no longer have any future ideas or future installments for 2D animation movies.
Oh, wait, they
Yeah,
actually announced this. So they actually said that we will no longer be working in 2D movies.
I think they mentioned. I don't think they mentioned it like word by word. They won't be doing 2D animation anymore. But when I searched up in Google like 2D 2D animation department Disney died or something like that,
Mhm.
there were a few articles that mentioned that Disney no longer had any future plans for 2D animation
Mhm.
movies. They were strictly going
3D
fully
completely.
3D. Yeah, yeah, starting from 2018. I think it's because to them there was a huge like phase, if I'm not wrong, Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, was that like their final 2D movie? No, right?
Yes, that
That
was
was
their
their
final
final.
3D movie.
Really? It
Yes,
didn't feel like it. What the hell?
exactly. I was like, oh god, I'm so shocked. Like I'm having goosebumps right now because
Uh,
I remember being in Genting Highlands in Malaysia, like
uh,
watching the premiere of Princess and the Frog, and I didn't realize that would be the last 2D movie I would ever watch from Disney.
Disney.
I think in terms of like cinematic movies, yeah, because in terms of like TV movies, it's a possibility that there may be like 2D movies
But you
in
just
this.
mentioned the like from the other animation studio, right? Talking to
Yes,
the
from
live action.
the Disney Television Animation Studio, not
So
Disney Animation.
so let me get this straight. So like basically the two big studios, the Disney Animation Studio and Pixar Studios,
Yes.
they both have basically said that they will no longer be working with 2D at all.
No, not. I mean, in terms of Pixar, they never had been working
Yeah,
with
they
2D
never even
animation,
touched 2D to be
as
fair.
far
Yeah,
as
yeah,
I'm concerned.
yeah.
Yeah, it's always been 3D with them. But in terms of Disney animation studios, yeah, they no longer were going to produce 2D animation movies anymore. In terms of like the big screen, yeah, I think. Because
Mm.
what I Yeah, because what I noticed was that it was true because the first remarkable 3D movie that Disney produced that was originally just Disney and not
Mhm.
Pixar was Tangled.
Oh, so that was completely Disney.
Yeah, that was completely Disney, and that was the moment I kind of knew that that was the end of me falling in love with Disney princesses. I think that was because of the 3D aspect.
Oh,
I
wait,
remember, I remember watching Tangled with my friends in the mall when I
that
was like
sound that sounded so
a
sad.
mere 10-year-old. Yeah, I remember just watching it and didn't really have the same satisfaction. I don't know if it was because of me growing up, but it was just
Okay,
I didn't have the same satisfaction as I did when I was watching, like, for example, Little Mermaid or something,
that was funny. So like basically, your love for Disney princesses was over when Tangled was created.
Yeah, I have to admit, cause no, here's the thing. When people ask me what my top favorite Disney princesses are, they uh never have I mentioned the Disney princesses from Tangled and beyond. Like Tangled, Frozen, Moana. Nope.
All right, yeah, okay, okay. So you're counting those as well. Okay, so you don't consider those like Disney princesses.
I mean, I consider them as the official Disney princesses, but I don't consider them as what is it called? Like the classic Disney
Uh,
princess.
so we're
Because
talking
they were
about
no. Hmm?
like golden age Disney princesses, right?
Right, right, yeah. I was like so obsessed with Ariel, with Jasmine, but ever since Tangled, I was like, eh.
Wait,
But
was that their first? Was that their first 3D princess? I think there's another one beforehand, no? Or is that
no,
like
Tangled was the first.
Tangled was the
Tangled was the
very
first.
first 3D Disney princess? Okay.
Yes, Tangled was the very first 3D princess. And if I'm not wrong, even though Tangled was like one of the first hit 3D movies that Disney had in terms of their progression with 3D animation movies,
Hmm.
um, I would say that Meet the Robinsons was a good movie.
Oh, but technically they didn't have a like Disney princess in that.
No, yeah, it wasn't a Disney Princess thing, but that was one of their 3D original movies. That and Chicken Little.
Chicken Little.
Yeah. So basically, what Disney was getting at was that, yeah, okay, there's no more 2D animation movies anymore. That's
Mm.
why the 2D department died. And the reason how I knew about the whole 2D department dying, like, I never realized it conceptually until I watched like a musical that was making fun of it. Like they were doing this whole Disney musical kind of thing, and they mentioned how like the 2Ds died. And that's when I realized like they meant the 2D department, it died.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, so I think ever since Tangled, the boost of Tangled, they just decided to make 3D all the way through because they realized that um when they produced Princess and the Frog and Winnie the Pooh adventure movie or something like that,
Hmm.
they didn't have as much revenue as they did when they produced Tangled later on. And I think that was the biggest like turnover
Oh,
for
so
them.
that was like the
Yeah,
moment they were like, ah, yeah. So like we're not.
yeah. Because like I think if I'm around that time, like Bolt also came out, Tangled came out, and they realized that like Tangled and Bolt made like millions of dollars,
compared
whereas
to
Winnie, yeah,
like the other 2D movie like Princess and
right,
the Frog.
right. And that's why they realized that, the 2D shit has got to stop because it apparently it wasn't enough. It wasn't a good run for them.
Okay.
So that was when I realized, like, when I read that, I was like, okay, now I don't have to expect any more 2D movies coming out of the cinemas from Disney anymore because that's never gonna happen from them.
So depressing.
It is depressing. It is depressing. But I think for me was that the silver lining for me was actually the other studio that I mentioned, which was Disney Television Animation Studio.
Mm-hmm.
Because I realized that the reason why I had so much love for 2D movies or 2D like games or 2D pictures or whatever was not necessarily just because of the golden age of Disney, but because I grew up, watching Disney Channel.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much
And
everyone does, I think. Like you're.
exactly, and all the Disney Channel animations were mostly 2Ds, right? I
Mm.
mean, there were rarely any like 3D formats until later on with like Upin and Ipin and like Boy Boy Boy, and oh my god, that was a nightmare. But yeah, that was the moment I realized, like, finding out that it wasn't actually that 2D was dying, or it was dying, but it was only dying in the concept. It was only dying in terms of uh Disney movies coming out from like blockbusters hits. 2D was dying there.
Yeah, now that you
Meanwhile,
think about it, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen any more
2D, right?
2D
2D movies, right?
movies. There is like
No.
Klaus, I think. Have you watched Klaus? I think that's like not technically not a
Is
2D,
that
and it's
Disney
not
though?
Disney. It's not Disney, but
Yeah.
like yeah, but like it technically was a 2D movie, right? I think it just looked 3D.
I've never heard of that movie before, I think.
Klaus. So it's Klaus. It's a Spanish movie or
K
something.
Klaus, Klaus.
Klaus. Yeah. So if you look
Uh,
at that, do you think that's a 3D movie?
Arguably, yeah, it looks like a 3D
It
movie.
looks 3D, but that's completely 2D. Those are all hand-drawn stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's interesting actually. But yeah, that wasn't what Disney is going for. They just
Uh,
really just they started to, I guess, in a way, Pixar influenced them so much that now they just wanted to stick to 3D movies only.
okay.
Yeah, which was, like, to me, depressing, obviously, because I love 2D movies. But
Uh,
like I said, the silver lining was when I found out that most of my childhood, anyways, when it comes to 2D movies, came from Disney Television Animation Studio, which, like, for example, in terms of, if I'm not wrong, like, do you remember, like, the old school, like, TV series on Aladdin and Little Mermaid? They actually had those,
oh, you mean like yeah. Because I remember Aladdin has like
like,
uh,
TV series,
the
right?
TV series. Yeah. I remember
Yeah,
Aladdin one. Yeah.
that, and like, for example, Recess.
Recess. Oh wait, Oh right.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that, Recess, Maggie the Butterfly, not the butterfly, the fly,
The Fly.
American Jake Long,
American Jake
American
Long.
Jake Long, and if I'm not wrong, Totally Spice is no, Totally Spice was French. Sorry, it
Totally
was
Spice
French
was
Canadian.
yeah. It wasn't. I don't think it was completely Disney,
It
but yeah.
wasn't it wasn't Disney, yeah, true, but I think maybe they had worked along with Disney. But basically, the ones that I grew up with were actually from Disney Television Animation Studio. So to
Uh,
me, like, and the fact that, like, Tangled and Frozen, or was it Big Hero 6?
yeah. Yeah.
So Tangled, in terms of, like, the cinemas, they were 3D, right?
Yes.
And it was an original Disney. It wasn't with Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they decided to make it, when they decided to serialize it as a TV series to the Disney
They were
Channel,
2D, right?
right? Exactly. And so
Cause my niece watches it.
yes, and that applied for Big Hero 6 too.
Ah,
So there was a TV series for Big Hero 6,
I
which was
didn't know
also
about
in
the
3D
Big Hero
format.
6 one. I knew there was a Tangled series, but I didn't know about the Big Hero 6.
So that's why, like, these two examples made me kind of like feel secure that Disney realizes 3D is probably not the way to go when it comes to TV, probably. Maybe because TV's way of, like, processing it is not as well as maybe blockbuster, like, cinematic theatrical format. But
I think I think it's probably just expensive. Honestly, if
yeah,
Disney decides
probably.
something, it's probably just price. I think it's just really expensive to like make a 3D TV series. I think.
Probably, yeah. I was thinking of that too. Like maybe it's because of the cost as well, and they just want to produce a lot of stuff, and 2D probably is cheaper as well, right?
Yeah.
But that's why to me, like that was something of like a hope because I guess to me it was like, okay, I admit defeat, like in a way. I kind of in a way like after reading through the history, I realized that okay, it was probably a smart move for Disney to have actually, followed Pixar's way of 3D in terms of like what's going on in this world,
Mm.
But yeah, but at the same time, like, well, at the same time, I'm still glad that there's still 2D shit happening in Disney Television Animation Studios,
I
and
see.
that Disney is not fully technically like Disney is not fully abandoning its original
Its original stuff, like
yeah, like
what
it's
they
not
started out.
abandoning its original strength,
Mm.
but in terms of making the big cash or whatever, of course they're sucking it up to the 3D gods, but at least in terms of TV, we're still spared with like 2D aspects,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I think for me personally, that was a shock, like finding out like the story behind Pixar and Disney and how like when I say my favorite Disney movie, in the 2000s would have to be Finding Nemo and little what is it called, Monster Inc. Like that made me feel so bad about myself. Like that wasn't actually that wasn't actually a classic Disney, right? That was actually a Pixar
A
movie.
Pixar
Technically,
movie.
yeah, you can argue that's actually Pixar. It's not Disney because
Uh,
Pixar made it themselves. They're owning it.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's basically it I mean like for my briefing of how
Alright.
it is.
Uh-huh.
Basically, what I grew up with in the early days were the golden era. The golden age.
So we're talking about like Little Mermaid, Pocahontas,
Right.
yeah, those type of
Right.
movies. Aladdin, Hercules, technically as well.
Yes, Hercules, yes. And then I absorbed what was it? I absorbed a bit of, you know, Pixar's influence in terms of Finding Nemo, in terms of uh what is Bug's Life,
Monsters Inc.
you know. Yeah, for
Bugs
example.
Life.
Yeah, and then it went to I mean, and then after that, I also watched Mulan 2. I honestly think Mulan 2 was a good movie as well.
Really, I haven't watched it, so I wouldn't know. I haven't watched
Oh
any of
my
the.
God.
I didn't know. Okay, okay. Like I didn't watch any of the sequel movies. Like that's why when you said like Mulan 2, and then there's like Brother Boy. I was like, wait a minute, they have
I
sequel.
think it's because it was premiered in Disney Channel alone. Like it wasn't in
Ah,
in cinemas, so maybe that's why. But I never really went to cinemas when I was a kid. I was always watching it in Disney Channel. That's why I never really or DVD. So I never really like I didn't know that when you say classics, it would be like the ones in the TV. I mean, it would be in the cinema screen.
what about like? I know Aladdin had a sequel, like the Hundred Thieves one. I think. Did you know that one?
Aladdin had two sequels, by the way. There
Two
was Aladdin one.
sequels.
There was
Wait, no.
Aladdin. There was Aladdin 1. There was
Uh,
Aladdin 2. Jafar Returns.
oh,
And then there
oh,
was
Jafar Returns, and then
and then there was Aladdin 3, the
the
thief.
the the Thieves one. Okay, I
Yeah.
watched that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one too. That was when they were about to get married, right? Aladdin and
I
Jasmine.
think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh
Oh my
did did you
god.
know did you know that Little Mermaid had a third movie, a second and third movie as well?
Wait. Oh no, 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 no. I know there was a second movie. I didn't know there was a third one.
There was a third movie, but I don't know if it was considered as like the in a lineage as the one and two, or was it a specials movie? Because it was more of how like the mother was there when they were still kids and how they grew up with a single dad.
Oh, because I knew. I think there was a sequel where it's no longer Ariel's main
Yeah, it was her
story.
kid, right?
Her kid,
It was
yeah,
her
her
kid.
daughter or something.
Yeah, Melody. God damn. Yeah, but that was like a shock to me. And then like I didn't realize also when I was watching that Ferdinand. Do you know the movie Ferdinand? Ferdinand,
Ferdinand, the
the
the the,
Poe,
the bull. Yes.
and the Book of Life. They were not Pixar. I thought they were at least
Wait, what?
Pixar or Disney. They're not. They're
They're not
individual. They're,
Pixar.
they're nope. They're independent. They're independent company.
So no, no. So Ferdinand, I had suspicion that it might have been like from an independent company, but
My
Book of Oh wow. Okay.
The Book of Life wasn't, and that's why I was like so shook when people got like hype about Coco, because I was like, wasn't there already a Book of Life that was like kind of had the same theme as Coco?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but turns out no, the Book of Life was actually from an independent company, so I was a bit shook as well. And I think my second last point was that people were starting to see like how you can differentiate between a Disney movie and a Disney Pixar movie.
What?
So basically, for a Disney movie, it's usually based off of myths, legends, just like the original 2D kind of concept, you know. But they
Mhm,
kept it, but they made it like 3D.
mhm.
Whereas Pixar is very original. Like it's very more also to family based, both for younger and older audiences in terms of like, what if, for example, the question of what if is being conceptualized in Pixar, but in Disney it's more of like once upon a time, you know.
Mm.
How it's more fable, how it's more of happily ever after. There's not really much of like a like a reality to it, you know.
Do you know
Um,
about Soul, the newest
yeah,
one, the
yep,
upcoming one?
yep, yep. I'm actually looking forward to that. That's a
Oh,
Pixar.
that's
That's
a
a
Pixar
Pixar.
movie, probably, right? Yeah, I thought so.
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, that was weird because people were saying that like, oh yeah, that's how you differentiate Disney and Pixar. But apparently, the lines have become blurred these few years because Pixar is also coming out with more of like musical and more of like fable kind of movies, whereas Disney is now leaning towards more of originals now.
What was the latest like Disney original movie?
If I'm not wrong, wait, would it would I say that it would be what? Yeah. What was that movie? Wreck-It Ralph?
Wreck-It Ralph? That was their
Yes.
original movie. That was their last one.
I think so. Wait,
That
let
was
me see.
quite a while ago.
Exactly, cause from or was it Frozen 2? So basically Disney is known to only upload or only known to produce their original movies once a year. Like it's an annual thing.
I see. Okay.
But I'm
I
not
mean, that
sure
makes sense.
actually.
It's like 3D movies are quite hard to make as well.
Right, but Pixar over here be producing it like it's nobody's business.
Cause like I remember I heard stories about the Incredibles.
Yes, Incredibles 1 and
Yeah,
2,
I
right?
heard stories about the fact that like Violet's hair was
Yeah.
almost destroyed the movie. If I'm mistaken, it almost completely
Because
canceled.
it was that difficult, is
It
it?
was that difficult to animate, if I remember correctly.
Oh my God.
Like the
Yep.
entire movie was fine, despite all the explosions, despite all the rendering and stuff like that. I was like super amazed with it. But the one thing that almost destroyed the movie was her hair. That was hilarious to me. Like, and also like who is it? In Monsters Inc. Sully's fur as well.
Right.
Yeah, that was like the hardest things to animate. Like basically hair is apparently the hardest thing to animate.
But then apparently, like, yeah, they just leave it to Pixar to do it because Disney
Yeah,
just Disney just wants to bank it all on the easy myths, you
easy,
know.
easy math. Yeah.
But yeah, the latest Disney original would be Frozen 2 actually.
So that was original.
Yeah, and then they work alongside Blue Sky Studios for Spies in Disguise, the one we laughed
Oh,
crazily
that one
at.
was that was really good. I mean, to be fair,
Yeah,
that was pretty. Oh wait, that was they had Disney's name on that too.
I think so. If you check
Spies in
it,
Disguise was part of
probably.
Disney. I mean, oh,
No, that's why they looked familiar, right? To me, it looked so familiar because they had kind of the same animation thing, but I'm not sure.
was like
Is there
Disney?
is there is there Disney?
I don't think it has anything to do with Disney. Blue Sky Studios, 20th Century Fox. No, no, no. I don't think it has. Oh, wait. Is 20th Century Fox part of Disney? Like, I swear to God,
Yes,
I had to like
yes,
ask all these
yes,
questions.
yes. Fox is owned by
Oh, right,
Disney.
because it's Fox. Yeah, it's owned by
Yep.
Disney. Oh my,
So basically, that's why it creeps me out. I'm having goosebumps again,
oh
but
my
that's
God,
why
now
it freaks
I'm
me out.
having goosebumps.
That's why this is freaking me out because literally everything is kind of indirectly, directly owned by Disney.
Oh my God.
But that's the thing, like with Disney themselves, like they're able to actually work with other producers and then just become the sole distributor, you know?
Damn. Wow, that's
while
insane.
while they themselves can also produce their own shit through Walt Animation Disney Animation Studios and distribute it themselves.
It's so like Trump, where he just basically sticks his name on everything and see what sticks.
Exactly, which scares the shit out of me because they have that much power, you know.
Yeah, Disney. Jesus, I didn't know. Oh my
So,
god, does Disney have anything to do with video gaming? Because if they did, I was like,
video games. I'm not so sure unless it's like a video games based off their movies or of their characters.
they have anything to do.
But they are involved in like Ghibli at some point, if I'm not wrong.
Disney is. Oh no,
Like
Ghibli.
like Princess Mononoke, I think was also produced by Studio
Oh
Ghibli but
my,
distributed.
that's
So
insane.
yeah, and if I'm not wrong, wasn't Howling Castle or Marnie was like also kind of by Disney.
As
I mean
long as
distrib
Spirited Away has nothing to do with Disney.
that one I'm not sure. I don't see it in my list, but I would say no because it was still the beginning, right?
Because out of all the Ghibli movies, I think that one's my favorite one, Spirited Away.
So as in like what I'm saying is that now Disney has become more of a Pixar-ish kind of stuff because they're also releasing originals like, you know, Wreck-It Ralph, like I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is a shocking surprise to me that uh, Pixar is also leaning forward to like more of a musical Once Upon a Time kind of format with Coco and Brave.
Yeah, Brave. What happened to that movie?
So technically speaking, Merida is not a Disney princess.
Yeah, I heard stories about that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at the lineage and the branches of Disney, I would argue that she isn't a Disney princess either.
Yeah, but like what I meant is the fact that what do you call it? Like it's the fact that that movie in particular, Brave,
Yes,
is so different compared to any other movies
that Pixar comes out,
that
right?
Pixar has made, or even like Disney in general has made. I think.
Well, I guess I don't know about Disney because Disney always does they always do like princesses stuff. So I don't know if you would consider it as different if it was from Disney's point of view. But in terms of Pixar, yes, because like I said, usually Pixar is more like original based. This one, they're very this one was a fairy tale actually, right?
Yeah, like it's fairy tale ish. I don't know if it's based on any original fairy tale. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. You're
it's
right.
fairy
It
tale
could be.
ish, but I'm not sure whether
Yeah.
it's actually part of any fairy tale.
I mean, you have a point there.
Mm.
Maybe. Yeah, by the way, Bambi 2 was also made by Disney Toon Studios.
Didn't even know there was a Bambi too.
So basically, all the twos are always going to be owned by Disney Toon Studios.
Okay, I know they're
Apparently.
gone, so there should be any more weird sequels. But then there's
No,
Frozen
there
2,
shouldn't be.
so I can't really
Oh,
say.
no, but technically Frozen 2 was out in the cinemas, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is in the cinema, but
Bambi
direct
2
to
probably
DVD.
wasn't. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess to just wrap up, oh my God, Bob's Burger, the movie is also this. Oh, I'm sad now.
What?
Bob's the upcoming Bob's Burger movie is distributed by Disney too.
It's Bob's Burger is part of Fox. I'm not surprised. So
Yes, so goddamn, okay, they're owning everything. They're literally, oh my God, if they wanted to control the world, they probably maybe they probably are. Conspiracy theory.
conspiracy theory.
My God. Well, I guess for me to wrap up my point was just basically a little game, I guess. The game would just be I mean we've mentioned a lot of movies, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Disney or Pixar or not Disney. Um, Now I just want to point out like some specific movies that you have to guess whether it's fully Disney original
Oh
or
no.
whether
Okay.
it's Pixar because
Okay.
these are the things that, you know, is quite tricky until you learn the hang of it, see.
Okay.
Eventually you'll find out which one is which.
We'll see.
Okay. I'll start, okay?
Uh huh.
I'll start with Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. Pixar.
Okay, you're right. Pixar.
Okay. That one I'm
Um,
pretty confident with because I love that movie. If I failed that, I'll be very upset. I'm just saying.
Wall-E.
Wally. Pixar?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Um, Cars.
Oh, Disney only?
No, Pixar.
Pixar as well. Oh, okay.
Yes. Um, let's see another one.
Because I was
Ooh.
like, to be fair, I'm like a Cartoon Network's kid, so like I didn't. I'm
Oh,
not.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
I think that makes
Um,
sense.
Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
There has to be only Disney, right? There has to be.
Yes,
That
yes.
was 2D. It was still 2D. Yeah.
Because if it's not, I'm going.
Oh, I'm
Think
gonna
shit's gonna go down.
blow my brains out. That was insane.
Okay, Toy Story 2.
Oh, that's obviously Pixar. Has to be.
Okay, yep. Um, let's see. Oh, Inside Out.
Inside. Pixar. Has to be Pixar.
Yes.
Okay.
Zootopia.
Disney?
Yes, that was a
Oh!
shock for me.
Oh!
That was a shock for
This
me.
was tricky because I thought it was Pixar.
Exactly. This is where I tell you this is where the line was blurred because now Disney is
Oh,
producing like Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph, that was fully Disney, even though it
'cause-
had toy.
yeah, because like if I remember correctly, the majority of the time the 3D fully animated like Disney movies tend to be a little bit, I wouldn't say poor in quality, but like it's not up to par.
Oh no, definitely poor in quality. I can see the difference between.
I'm not
I
sure.
can definitely.
It's not bad. It's just like they're not. If you compare, like they're on their own, right?
Yep, yep.
On their own, the movie is great, but compared to anything Pixar has made, it's like night
No,
and
I
day.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Like if you compare Meet the Robinsons with Ratatouille, like you can see the
Yeah,
huge
the
differences between
huge
the anime.
differences. Yeah, yeah. Ratatouille is
And
like miles away, right?
exactly. And Meet the Robinsons, even though the plot was good, I can see why like it wasn't really one movie that like stood out the most, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Onward.
Oh no, this is tricky. Because you mentioned the story of the fact that like Pixar is moving closer to Fables. So I'm not sure about this one. This has to be Disney, right? No?
Nope, it's
It's
Pixar, baby.
Pixar. God.
Yep. I guess let's see. I have one last one in mind. Oh yeah, Enchanted.
Pixar.
Nope.
Disney.
It's it's technically a third-party production
Yeah,
company,
but
but Disney
it's
was the one.
count that as Disney.
Yeah.
Enchanted is Disney. Okay.
Enchanted was a good movie though. Like
Yeah, it
that
was.
was,
It was a pretty good movie.
but that was also technically 2D, right? There was no 3D except for real life, but like
Oh,
yeah,
except for the real life one, yeah. Except for
yeah.
the, I mean, the in real life movie is also pretty good. So
The what, sorry?
the real life movie is also.
Yeah, it's good. Oh god. They actually wanted to make Amy Adams as a Disney princess, an official Disney princess, but they decided not to because they would have to pay her
Yeah,
royalty
they would
rights.
have to pay. You don't have to pay fake character.
Right. And that's so sad because it's like I really wanted her to be an official Disney because she was so princess.
Oh no way! This guy, the oh my god, the prince is James Marsden. Where? How is this guy in
Yes.
everything? Do
Yes,
you
he was
notice? Do you notice that like he's in every 2D in real life movie ever?
like what?
Like Sonic the Hedgehog, Enchanted. I think he's also part of like Hop. If you
I
remember
don't
that one.
remember. I don't think I've watched those two actually, but I know that he's Scott from what is it from oh god, X-Men,
Yeah,
the old
yeah,
one.
he's an X-Men as well. No, no, but like he's in, what is he like? He's always with the 2D weird characters like Hop, Sonic the Hedgehog, and then all this Enchanted. It's insane. It's funny. It's
Always
so
like
funny.
that with it. And I think the last one would be The Good Dinosaur, I guess.
The Good Dinosaur has to be Disney. I do not accept the fact that it's ever been touched by Pixar. I will never
Sadly, it's
accept that
actually
fact.
Pixar.
No! you serious?
Yes, it's Pixar.
The Good
Fun fact.
Dinosaur.
Fun
Yeah.
fact, The Good Dinosaur was the only Pixar Disney movie that flopped. Like if I'm not wrong, it broke even only, right? It didn't
I
even
don't
get
know.
profit.
I don't know, but it can't be Pixar. Are you kidding
It's
me?
Pixar. That was the first time apparently like cuz Pixar had a lot of movies already made with Disney and they were always a huge success, always hits. The first downfall was Good Dinosaur, and that was when people realized, like, oh, Pixar is actually not invincible as well.
Yeah.
If
Oh
I'm
my
not wrong,
God.
if I'm not wrong, their budget was 350 million, and then they make profit 350 million. So it was just a break even amount of money from that movie.
Let me see. Why is this in English? Yeah, why this is in Bahasa? Give me the English
Yeah,
version.
that was the only one that sucked, and I think because of that, and because of the success of Zootopia thereafter, that kind of made Disney realize, like, okay, their 3D is actually improving also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's oh my! I do not. I can't accept the fact that this was made by Pixar. Are you kidding me? This was honestly one of the worst like 3D computer generated movie I've watched in a
How
while.
bad was it? I
It was.
haven't watched it though.
It's not great. I didn't like this
Really?
one bit. I personally did not like this one bit. Compared to like a lot of like
Oh.
the oh yeah. So when was this released? This was released in 2015. Okay. So let's
Mm.
compare to every 3D movies in 2015. Let's compare to those. So you got the Good Dinosaur. You had uh, like computer generated maybe 3D animated movies. Oh, so yeah. So there's Inside Out, right?
Yes,
There's
yes, Inside Out.
There's the Peanuts movie,
Yes,
Hotel Transylvania,
yes, but
which
that's
I
not
know
Disney,
some
right?
people. I know some people didn't like it, but I personally enjoyed that movie.
It was okay, yeah. I mean,
It
I
was
haven't
okay.
watched it, but I know it's pretty good.
Yeah. And then and then there's the freaking Good Dinosaur amongst you know amongst those movies, and I'm like, how can you even compare? Especially against Inside Out and Minions as well. That was the first time Minions came out. Sorry,
Right.
the first Minions movie came out. I don't know if they had another one, but like
Yeah.
the Minions terrible was the Minions movie was pretty bad, but like the Good Dinosaur, I still didn't like compared to that. The
Yep.
Minions, by the way, compared to Minions, which I wholeheartedly try to hate.
But I would say the 3D in Minions were pretty good, though. I mean, it's not that bad. It wasn't
It
as
was
clunky as.
okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, but still, it's like compared to how can you compare to Good Dinosaur and still look better? That's insane. I really didn't like
Yeah.
the Good Dinosaur. I really didn't
That
like it.
that's what made Pixar realize, like, they're not as
They're not as
visible as they
invincible.
used to be. Mm-hmm. And compared, and I think that's the reason why, like, in a way, now it's kind of like a blurred line, because I think Pixar is now trying to find its own new style, whereas Disney is also trying to find its own better style.
Like they're trying to find their identity essentially, right?
I guess, even though, like, weirdly enough, they're actually both under the same parent company,
Yeah.
but I guess that's what keeps the creativity and money going, I guess. Totally, like, what is it? A killing two birds with one stone situation here, say, to be honest.
Apparently, Alvin and the Chipmunks was also released in the same year.
But wait, that wasn't Disney, right? Or was it?
Alvin and the Chipmunks Road Chip. That's what they call it. I have no idea if that's
I
by
don't,
Disney.
I don't, I don't think it's
I
Disney,
don't think
because
it's by Disney. Hopefully not. I mean, are you kidding me?
that was good. And I remember there was also another one, animation, I think, if I'm not wrong, G-Force, the
I don't.
hamster,
Not
the guinea pig,
sure about that one. I have.
the guinea pig secret agent.
I don't know about that. Actually. I don't think that's read in the same year, but let me see who
Yeah,
developed this. Directed by blah blah blah. Fox. Nope, it's by Disney as well, technically.
fucking shit, Disney. This is why I'm telling you, I'm afraid of Disney. Ever since I've learned, like, the
Wait,
Disney
wait.
movie.
When did Disney touch this? When did Disney acquire Fox again? When
Well, that's
Disney?
not. I mean, even if they did not acquire it during the time that the movie came out, in a way, the revenue, if it's still being streamed or whatever, or being sold, it's still to Disney, and the rights are with Disney
Oh
now.
no, it's not that long ago. It's only 2019. So technically, this is purely Fox. This has nothing to do with
Right, purely Fox, but now the rights, if I'm not wrong,
the
would still
rights.
go to
Yeah, yeah,
Disney.
Disney.
which is sad because like I think the only exclusive like copyright kind of distinction was with Pixar,
Technically, that's true.
which is sad because like yeah, I mean, what can I say? I both admire and fear Disney.
Disney. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
I just wish, because the thing is that Disney, at the very least, they allow movies that
mm,
like that doesn't really fall under their traditional views, right? Like Disney princesses, the fables and story like that. At the very
right.
least, they're still branching out. They're still allowing that to happen. Because if they didn't, I
Yes.
think a lot of people would like complain and stuff like that.
True, true. I mean, I didn't know that The Nightmare Before Christmas was also a Disney distributed
Yeah,
movie.
that one I was also a little surprised, but that one I kind of knew already, so that one I had no problem. But like,
But Corpse Bride wasn't though, which was weird because I thought they were
what,
in the same kind of universe.
what?
Corpse Bride, you know Corpse Bride?
I don't think I know that one. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, that's such a good movie though. It's
You'll
by
have
Tim Burton
to,
as well.
you'll have to introduce me to that.
Yes, yes. I will in the next few weeks or months. It's a
Will
really good
do.
movie. Yeah. Yeah, so
Damn. That's
yeah,
a
do you have any inputs for this whole findings that I have found last time?
I am terrified of Disney, even more than I already were, technically. Because
My
at the
point exactly.
because when you told me, like when you messaged me, like I think yesterday, where you said like, oh now I'm terrified of Disney. It's like, oh yeah, welcome to the club. And then you told me some of these things. I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait a freaking minute.
Like in a transactional point of view, this is freaking scary. The fact that they are able to have their hands on everything, scary.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, and then I mentioned it to Amelia, right? How like this is so crazy that they're dominant in the industry, in the entertainment industry. And then Amelia asked me, are they dominant in other industries? And I was like curious. And so far, what I searched was that in their listed assets, at least,
Mhm.
um, it's mostly startups and also, if I'm not wrong, real estate stuff. But they also have for what is it called, financial companies as well. So it's just, to me, it scares me to know that somehow, some way, Disney still has its hands on other
That's the
industries,
other story.
but indirectly. That freaks me.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
Yep. Also, sadly, do you remember a Goofy movie?
Yeah.
That was Disney Movie Toons that got closed.
Oh, okay.
It was a good movie too, though. To be fair.
I actually had a question regarding the Goofy movie one. So, like, do you remember the girl that like Max was trying to impress the entire movie?
Yes, mouse,
So,
right?
oh, sorry,
A mouse, right? She was a mouse, I
I
think.
think so or something like that. But like, yeah. So he tries to impress this girl pretty much the entire movie, and then
Right.
I think there's a second movie where he goes to university. What happened to her?
Oh, I think I remember it kind of briefly in the second movie, but yeah, they never really mention it, right? Or maybe did
They
they
never
mention that they
mentioned her.
broke up?
They just basically acted as if she never existed.
Wow. Because I remember like he was so into her in the first
Yeah,
one,
I
but
mean,
then again, to be fair,
because I remember like I remember quite a bit the fact that like we're called so this because I was watching the second movie and then I was like, oh right, this is the second movie, I want to watch the first movie, and then it's like
right,
there's this girl that he's trying to impress pretty much the whole movie, even like almost killing himself essentially, right?
right, right, because he was really into the girl.
Yeah, he's really to the girl to the point where like he almost like he went like bent over backwards just for this girl. And then
Right.
in the next movie, they never like she just acted as if she never existed.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know, maybe it's just for us to assume that they never really ended up together. Like it didn't work out after he left for college, maybe.
I don't know.
But it's yeah, maybe there's a reason why it wasn't released out in the
Maybe.
cinemas, but only to, DVDs instead.
Ah,
But yeah,
okay.
I think just to wrap up my segment, I just have a few questions for you, to kind of like wrap your mind around this whole Disney Pixar kind of concept.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my first question would be, I know that Brother Bear was your favorite Disney movie,
Mm-hmm.
original Disney movie. But what would be your favorite Disney Pixar movie?
My favorite it has to be Ratatouille. I think
Oh yeah, that was a good
Ratatouille
pick.
is very good.
Good pick.
Like it's. I think like because the thing is when I watch those type of animated movies Disney anything by Disney Pixar or anything by that anything like that. I always just watch them as like just kind of like a short entertainment movie. Like I never thought about them as like an actual movie. If that makes any sense. Like I just saw them as like
I think I get it.
yeah, I just saw them as like something like a cartoon. Like a Saturday
Like
night
passing
cartoon.
by, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I just watched them and then they're done. They're fun to watch. That's it. And then but Ratatouille was the first movie I kind of thought like this is such a good movie. Like when I was watching it, I was like, this is a really really good movie. I would love to watch it again if I had the time.
So true. Like it's one of the most rewatchable movies. I feel like you won't get tired of the plot,
Yeah,
for some
because
reason.
I think it's just everything about it is like such a cool thing. So there's like the setting, the music, the characters. They're all. It's just the combination of. Because when I looked into the movie as well, I found out that like they actually had to consult with a professional chef or something like that.
Right, right. To see whether like the technique is correct
Yeah,
and
the technique is
just to
correct. Like
just to be realistic, right?
yeah, just to be realistic. Even the setting, like the
Yeah.
kitchen itself, like the way they set out the kitchen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
consulted as well. They try to be keeping it as accurate as possible. And when I saw it, it was like
Yeah.
it's so cool. It just constantly when I think about that movie, it's just like wow, you know.
I feel like for me it's the same as Finding Nemo too, because I remember.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the animation. Yeah, they had to learn like aqua biology, right? Like they
Right,
had
yeah,
to
to
learn
learn.
how the fishes move and stuff like that. That's insane.
Yeah, and I think lastly would be the last question would be no, actually second last question is for 3D Disney original movie, what would be your favorite?
I'm sorry.
What would be your favorite 3D Disney original movie?
So what would we have again? Disney.
Chicken Little,
That
Meet the Robinsons, Tangled, Frozen, Big Hero 6, Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph.
I think Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, because I think Wreck-It Ralph is like none of the movies on that list is actually to me at least were like
Hmm.
very big wow movies.
Right,
But
right. It's always
Wreck-It
Pixar.
Ralph, yeah, but Wreck-It Ralph is pretty fun. Like I think it's just the most fun of the list
Oh
to
yeah, you're
me
right.
at
It's
least.
not too serious, right?
Yeah, it
In
doesn't
terms
take
of
itself too seriously, and I think that was
yeah.
what made like what I loved uh
Mm,
personally about that movie.
mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, and I think the very last question would just be, do you agree with me when I said that, 2D Disney is essentially, no, not essentially, is already dead in terms of animation movies?
I mean, like you mentioned, like because the thing is that you mentioned that to me, like when you are explaining to me the fact that like, what was it again? What was the last movie that I made? The
The one
Princess
that
and
they meant,
the Princess and the Frog was it?
yes.
Yeah, you mentioned to me that the Princess and the Frog was basically their last movie, like that last 2D movie, and I thought to myself, I didn't even realize that, and that was like so sad. That's like really really unfortunate.
And then the last of their original, I mean,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
came
the
out with
last of their
others,
like
but
original 2D, like I'm not sure if it was hand drawn per se, but if it was hand drawn, it's such a shame that like those type of
mm,
hand drawn movie will no longer be around. You know.
yep, true, true. I think that and Winnie the Pooh was the last one, or the last one.
Hmm.
Where, but yeah, so that means essentially but you do agree that in a way 3D, it was a good move for Disney to have actually taken venture to 3D animation movies, right? Because I mean, I can't really imagine how they would do if they only did 2D movies now, as of this age of like modernization technology era.
Yeah, I guess I can definitely see that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I don't think they would be as big as they are now, personally.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
All right, so I think that just wraps up my
first
whole
segment.
concept of yeah, I'm afraid of Disney and 2D movies are dying, but 3D is staying. But at least the silver lining is that 2D animation in terms of TV is still there.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right. So now we'll move on to your next segment.